Okay, so we're going to focus on the root chakra and the grounding cable today. And we're going to walk through a process of mindful observation again, because I really feel like this is a great way to train the mind to move into the role of observer. Okay, so we really want to shift from thinking and doing and action into observation and slowing the system down. For those of you that might be enjoying with crystals, I've brought some hypersthene that I'm going to hold on to. Great crystals for doing this work are obsidian, tourmaline's a nice one. You could use pyrite. Any of your ores, actually, copper, hematite. You might even like using dendritic agates or any of the agates for grounding work. So really anything that's going to help us to stabilize and move down into our grounded center. So let's get started, shall we? So settling your body into the space that you're working from. I am in a seated position. You may be lying down. What we want to take a minute to do is just shift into that space that you're going to be working from tonight. So for me, that's getting a sense of feet on the ground, really getting a sense of that contact and the support under my feet. And then getting a sense of my seat on my chair and really letting go of any tension that I'm holding on to and letting the seat take the weight. Okay. If you're on a bed or on the couch or lying down, taking a minute to really let go of any of those muscles that might be holding themselves up posturally and letting them go into the space, letting them go into the surface that you're resting against. And to start this mindful observation, what we're going to do is we're going to bring that spotlight of attention to the space between our root chakra and our throat chakra. So really getting a sense of, from your sits bone, from your tailbone, right, from the root chakra and all the way up to the throat chakra. If you could shine a light on this space, bringing your observation to the lower abdomen and to the stomach, to the rib cage and to the chest and the shoulders. So bringing all of that space into your awareness, shining that spotlight of attention on that space. And we're going to bring our awareness to our breath within that space. So observing on the in-breath how the air moves into the body between the throat and the root chakra. Nothing to change here, moving into the role of observer. How does the air come into the body? Maybe you notice on the in-breath that the ribs are expanding and opening. And on the out-breath, they're releasing and softening. And on the in-breath, maybe you notice that the lower back extends just slightly. What happens in this space? In this space of the torso, in this space of the lower abdomen, happens to the body as we breathe in and breathe out. Maybe you notice the stomach rising and falling. Maybe you notice that your attention shifts as you follow the breath through this space. How does this space dance with the breath? Opening and extending. Shining our attention, shining our awareness on the space between our root chakra and our throat, encompassing all of the abdomen, all of the rib cage and the shoulders. Maybe you notice on your in-breath that your body extends both forwards and backwards, opening like a balloon outwards. And then on the out-breath, softening back into the center. Nothing to change with the breath. Moving into the role of compassionate observer with curiosity, with wonder. What happens to my body as I'm breathing into these spaces? And as the mind wanders from this space of the abdomen and rib cage and upper body, just going to bring it back into this space. Slowing the mind and choosing where to place that spotlight of attention. Bringing it back to the body. With that next breath, we're going to take that spotlight of attention and we're going to place it on the left foot. Drawing all of our attention down to the left foot. And we're going to take that skill of observation, that skill of focused attention, with curiosity and gentle attention, we're going to start to notice what's happening at the left foot. Maybe you notice sensations in the toes. Maybe you notice sensations in the arch of the foot, or the contact between your foot and the ground. nothing to do or change. Maybe you notice tension without any attempt to change. We're just going to bring our attention to that space. What is here in the left foot in this exact moment? This space of connection to the ground. Maybe you notice the temperature. If your mind wanders to other sensations in the body or thoughts or noises in the room, gently bringing your awareness back to your left foot. You might feel tingles and you might feel energy moving through this space. We're not interested in changing that in any way. What is here? And then taking that attention, taking that awareness, and moving it up into the ankle. The space of stability. Moving into the ankle on the left. What is here? Maybe there's areas you've never noticed before. And you might notice as you bring your attention to this space that other sensations pick up in the body, or new thoughts come to your mind. And like clouds passing by, we let them go and then gently bring our attention back to the left ankle. With curiosity and softness, isn't that interesting? What's here for me to notice in this moment? And then shifting and moving up into the calf and the front of the leg at the calf. What is here in this space between the ankle and the kneecap? This space of strength and balancing, space that helps us to move and propel forward. What do you notice here? Maybe you notice the sensation of your clothing against your skin. Maybe there's pins and needles or movement through this space. Again, maybe you notice your thoughts shifting or changing as you move through these areas of the body. And allowing those to go by. And then gently bringing your attention back to this space between the ankle and the knee on the left side. And breathing while you observe. If you find you're focusing too intently, or your shoulders are coming up with your focus, or your eyes are straining, take a nice cleansing breath, soften the eyes, soften the shoulders, soften the body, And then bring your attention back to this space between your ankle and your knee on the left side. And noticing how the sensations change with your awareness. And then we're going to move up into the kneecap, the front of the knee, the back of the knee, maybe right into the center of the joint of your knee on the left side. The space of movement, the space of flexion. What's in this joint? What's in this space? And breathing with whatever comes in. Shifting to the role of observer. Being present with exactly what's here in this moment. And maybe there's a tension in the knee, or maybe there's a pain in the knee. And that's okay. Nothing to change in this moment, nothing to do, nothing to fix, nothing to think through. Let them flow by with gentleness. And again, shining our awareness on this space. And then we're going to move up the leg a little bit further to the space between the knee and the hip joint. These powerful muscles of the upper leg on the left side, the hamstring and the quads, the strength to propel forward. The space right from the hip joint all the way down into the kneecap. What is here? Maybe you can feel your hamstring against the seat you're sitting on. Maybe you notice tension or softness. Maybe you can even feel the space where the bone rests between the hamstring and the quadricep. What is in this space? And breathing with that awareness. And should you find that as you're moving through this space of the upper leg and into the hips, that there's any spaces of constriction, any spaces of tension or tightness that continue to draw the attention or continue to draw the focus in a way that's difficult to soften and release, taking just a moment, you can bring your attention to that tension. We're going to observe that space, or any spaces that might be calling, making it difficult to let them go by. And if these come up, gentle focus, gentle compassion, awareness, just breathing with this space. Allowing yourself to rest your attention on that space. Bringing the breath to that space. Gently breathing in. And then breathing out and releasing some of that tension with the out breath. One more time, any areas of focus, any areas of tension that may be calling out louder than other areas. Just going to gently breathe in, bringing our awareness to that space. And on the out breath, using that movement of air to release some of the tension from that space. Should you need to shift the body, doing that in a mindful way, knowing the movement as you're doing it. And then we're going to shift our attention to the whole left leg. From the bottom of the foot and the tips of the toes all the way up to the hip joint. The whole left leg. From the bottom of the foot and the contact of the ground all the way up to the hip joint. Bringing your awareness to this whole space. Like a spotlight shining attention on the whole left leg. Gentle observer, holding your attention gently on this space with curiosity, with compassion. Isn't that curious? What's happening here? Maybe the energy moves and shifts. Maybe the sensations move from one area to another. Maybe you notice the whole outline of the skin from the bottom of the foot all the way up to the hip joint. And then with the next breath, we're going to move across the hip joint to the right hip. And then we're going to move down the right side all the way to the right foot. We're going to focus that flashlight, that spotlight of attention on the entire right foot. The space of balance, the space of stepping forward into the future. We're going to focus our attention with curiosity on the right foot. Breathing with your attention on this space. Maybe you notice the contact between your foot and the ground. Maybe you notice the space of the arch. What is here? Maybe you notice sensations in other parts of your body. And with gentleness, as your awareness gets drawn away, we're going to bring that awareness back to the right foot. This training of awareness, this gentleness of redirection, conscientious awareness of the right foot. Maybe you notice the movement of energy through the foot. Really recognizing this space. Maybe you notice the contact between the toes or the joints in the toes. And we're going to move up into the right ankle. Space of flexibility, the space of stability and dexterity of movement. What do you notice in the right ankle? And breathing with your awareness. Maybe you notice the sensations change as we bring awareness to a space. Maybe you notice it softens and opens as you bring your attention to the ankle. Maybe you notice that muscles tighten as you bring your awareness to the ankle. Whatever's here in this moment, exactly as it is, what is happening in this space? And then we're going to bring our awareness up to the space between the ankle and the knee, the space of the calf and the front of the leg. Holding our awareness. What is here? Breathing with that awareness and then moving up into the knee on the right leg. Space of flexibility and movement. Maybe you notice the front of the kneecap, or right inside the joint, the space between the upper and lower leg. And as your attention gets directed away, maybe to other sensations in the body or thoughts, bringing it back gently. And then moving up into the upper leg, the space between the knee and the hip joint, strength of power, this hamstring and quadricep. Bringing that awareness to the entire space. Between the kneecap and the hip joint. The length of this space. Maybe you notice it resting against the seat. Bringing our attention, bringing our awareness to this space of our body and anchoring our attention here. Gently, and noticing any other sensations that may pop up in the rest of the body, and allowing it that they're there with nothing to fix, nothing to do. And bringing the attention back to this upper part of the leg. And then extending that attention, extending that awareness like a spotlight to the entire right leg now. This flexibility of attention and awareness. The entire right leg. What is here? Stepping forward, the space of movement into the future, the space of stepping forward, this right leg, from the sole of the foot and the tip of the toes, all the way up to the hip joint. Can you bring your intention to surround this entire space? Shifting your movement if you need to. What is here on this entire right side of the leg? Remembering to breathe with that awareness. And with our next in-breath, we're going to draw our attention all the way up that right leg until we find ourselves at the root chakra. This space between the hip joints, at the base of the tailbone, the space within the sits bone and the pelvic floor. Bringing your full attention and full awareness to this space of the root chakra. And you might notice that as you bring your awareness, that spotlight of attention to the root chakra, the pelvic floor, the space within the cradle of the hips, that your energy centers too, like a pulling back into the center. And with gentle compassion and awareness, we're going to bring our attention to the space of the root chakra. The space of the pelvic floor and the hip joints. To the pelvis. The tailbone. may be sitting through this meditation and noticing that space where you're sitting on the chair and the contact between the tailbone and the pelvic floor and the space where you're sitting. Or maybe you're lying down and you can feel that space of the tailbone close to the table you're lying on or ground that you're lying on. And with gentle awareness and compassion, holding your attention, a soft light of awareness on this entire space. What is happening in this space? Maybe you notice little twitching sensations in the hip. Maybe you notice where the tailbone is touching the chair. Maybe you notice sensations in the pelvic region. This entire space of the root chakra. We're going to breathe with this space. What I want you to imagine and observe, bringing our attention to, is the movement of this space as we breathe in and how the hips open just slightly. And you might notice with the in-breath and out-breath that the pelvic floor opens and contracts. Even the most subtle movement. And with awareness, without forcing, without directing or wanting it to move in a particular way, we're going to bring this spotlight of awareness and attention and curiosity for the next minute to the breathing at the level of the root chakra and the pelvic floor. Holding our attention here with every breath. And noticing even the most subtle and minute changes to this area. Your attention might want to follow the breath to other areas of the body, and that's okay. But with gentleness, compassion, drawing the attention back to the root chakra. And letting the body breathe as it will while you hold your attention on the root chakra and the pelvic floor and the hips and the tailbone. Letting the body breathe as it may and holding your attention on this space. Just being present with any sensations that come up. Bringing compassion to any sensations that come up. Getting to know this space of the body. And with the next breath and with the next in-breath and the out-breath, I want you to draw your attention from the root chakra, holding the root chakra in your attention, but drawing your attention and extending your attention to include all of the left leg, all of the right leg, all the way down to the bottom of the feet and the tips of the toes. So you can imagine this bubble of awareness or this spotlight of attention or awareness extending from the root chakra all the way down both legs, wrapping around the bottom of the feet and the toes, including this area of the tailbone, this area of the sits bones, the pelvic floor, the hips, wrapping around this space and all of the legs, all the way down around the feet. You may be shifting your body as you need to. This beautiful area of grounding and stability and strength. Bringing your awareness to this entire space to the best of your ability with patience, compassion. And you might notice the space extending to include the lower back a little bit, back of the hip joints. And can you hold your attention the space of the root chakra, hips, upper legs, knees, lower legs, ankles, bottom of the feet, top of the feet. Maybe you feel the sensations of this lower aspect of the body. What is here? And breathing gently, softening the eyes if you need to, softening your gaze if you find yourself over-focusing, softening the shoulders if you find yourself tightening to focus or tightening your awareness, Softening again and bringing your awareness to this entirety of space from the hips down to the bottom of the feet. Space of standing, the space of balance, the space of rooting and stability. Space of stepping forward, space of holding your ground. What we're going to do is move with our awareness now. So we're going to bring our attention back into the root chakra, back into the hips and the pelvic floor. And maybe you notice the root chakra as a ball of light, or maybe you notice it as this space, this sort of tray of energy, whatever that shows up for you with the root chakra. We're going to bring our attention to that space, and we're going to start to breathe some light into that space. So what I want you to imagine doing, holding your energy on the root chakra. On the in-breath, we're going to imagine amplifying and drawing, bringing your awareness to the light within the root chakra. And you might notice this as a different color. You might notice reds or blacks here. And that's perfect. But I want you to start drawing light into this space with every breath. On the in-breath, we draw light in, we amplify light. And on the out-breath, we extend that light through the space gently. Light never needs to be forced. It will find the spaces and it will radiate through in all directions, helping you to recognize the space that's there. On the in-breath again, drawing light into the root chakra. And on the out-breath, watching as it radiates out through all of the spaces. Nothing to force. Just letting it radiate out through the space in all directions. Radiating out through the lower back and through the hips. Radiating down and through the pelvic floor, the sits bones. With every breath, drawing in and amplifying, radiating out, filling this root chakra, filling the pelvis with light. In-breath, amplify. Out-breath, let it release and radiate out. And you might notice it radiating up into the sacral chakra, up into the upper body. And as that light amplifies and extends, amplifies and expands, we're going to also imagine it now. This light starting to flow downwards. Okay, we're going to watch light moving and flowing. On the in-breath, bringing it in to the root chakra, and then watching as it starts to flow and cascade down through the hips, through the upper leg, through the thigh and the quad and the hamstrings. No efforting required. Light moves and shines, finding those spaces, finding its pathway, this flowing of light. And again, with every breath, amplifying and extending through the root chakra, and then watching as it pours down. This endless flow of light from the root chakra down through the hips and the pelvis, the upper legs. This grounding cable that extends from the root chakra down the legs as well and into the earth star, watching as it pours through this space. No efforting required. Observing as this light flows down through this space. Watching with curiosity. Watching with wonder as it moves down through the legs and over the knees, down through the knees, back of the leg. Flows down through the calves and the front of the legs. This endless flow of light from the root chakra down, flowing down. Flowing down through the ankles and the heel now. Through the arch of the foot and the ball of the foot, and maybe you notice it through all the little muscles and all the little ligaments and tendons, the bones of your feet flowing through. Nothing to do but observe, watching as this light finds its way down from the root chakra, through the legs and the feet. And then watching as this light flows through this contact, flows through this space from the bottom of your feet into the ground without any resistance, finding all of the spaces, light moving through the space of contact between the bottom of the feet and the surface that they're resting on. Or if you're lying down, flowing through the bottom of the feet like a waterfall, finding their way to the ground and then flowing through the surface of the ground. This beautiful, continuous flow of light. And you can focus your attention on the bottom of the feet and imagining and intending and observing as this light flows through the bottom of the feet. Through all the spaces of the heel and the arch, the pad of the foot and the bottoms of the toes. Moving through all the spaces. Moving down through the ground and starting to lose sense of the difference between the bottom of your foot and the ground. Recognizing that the light moves through the space without resistance, without restriction. Letting go of any barrier between the bottom of the foot and the ground. Letting the light encompass that entire space as though you were one with the ground. Watching that light extend even further from the bottom of your foot down into the ground. This light pathway opening the connection between yourself and the ground. breathing with this release, breathing with this connection, breathing with this downward flow of energy. Observing the flow of energy downwards. Nothing to force, nothing to do but observe as the energy moves down and through. And then with this next breath, I want you to draw your awareness back up, holding the full attention. So we're going to extend our awareness that we feel this contact and energy through the bottom of the feet. And we're going to hold there while also drawing our awareness to include the feet and the ankles and the draw of energy moving down through the feet from there. And extending the awareness now to include the lower part of the leg, holding our attention of this flow of energy downwards, feeling the energy moving downwards, holding our attention on this whole aspect. And while keeping our attention there, we're going to draw to include now in this awareness the upper part of the leg. Feeling that downwards energy through the upper legs. Noticing it as it moves all the way down and through the bottom of the feet, holding this whole lower aspect of the body in our attention, this movement of energy downwards. While holding our attention there, we're going to draw to include now the hips, the pelvic floor, the lower back, all in that downward energy and flow, that space of connection, this entire space drawing and flowing downwards now. Breathing with that release, breathing with that connection, relinquishing, letting go, grounding. Again, holding our attention on this entire space to the best of your ability, observing all of this lower aspect from the hips down to the bottom of the feet and the contact with the ground. And then with a couple last breaths, I want you now, holding this same attention on these lower aspects of the body, we're going to extend like a bubble of energy coming upwards. We're going to extend to include in this awareness the lower abdomen, and feeling as it gets drawn into this downward flow of energy. Holding still our feet and our lower leg and upper leg, pelvic floor, lower back, lower abdomen, now holding this all in our awareness with patience and gentleness. And then including in our awareness now the upper abdomen, doing your best to hold this whole space in awareness with gentleness, observation. And it's okay if the mind wanders. It's okay if thoughts come up. It's okay seeing if you can bring your attention back to this entire space. And then on the next breath in, we're going to extend that awareness, still holding at the feet and all the way up the legs, but extending to include the rib cage and the heart center, the arms and the shoulders, all being now brought into the awareness of that downward movement, that grounding aspect, holding that space. like a bubble around the shoulders all the way down, including the whole body to the bottom of the feet. And breathing with the awareness of the upper body being brought into that grounding energy. Letting it draw down, moving into that waterfall of energy, that pathway of light extending all the way now from the shoulders down through the body, the bottom of the feet, down into the ground. And with the next breath in, one last nice breath of extension, we're going to draw to include in our awareness the head and the top of the head and the throat and the crown chakra. So now holding the whole body from the top of the head to the best of your ability all the way down to this flow of energy leaving down from the bottom of your feet. This beautiful flow of energy from the top of the head, this downward pull of energy. And seeing if you can hold your whole body of awareness with this movement of grounding energy. Becoming a beautiful waterfall of light, moving down, effortlessly flowing, trusting in the light to find all of the spaces. No forcing required. Letting it flow as it will. Letting it draw down. This flashlight of awareness on the whole body, moving and grounding downwards. Releasing and relinquishing. Drawing and washing away. Effortless flow of energy. And a couple more breaths as we observe this space. That beautiful downward flow. For the whole body. Just sitting with this flow. And one last cleansing breath. We're going to bring our attention, so draw it back into the heart center. And you may still feel that downward flow rushing past the heart center, nourishing with light and helping with release. And as we hold our attention for these last couple breaths in the heart center, bringing gratitude, bringing peacefulness, bringing compassion to this space. Knowing that you're nurturing yourself, knowing that you're bringing gentleness with your awareness to your body, to your mind. Letting go of the rest of the space around you. Really coming inwards. Really honoring your space. And working with the gentleness and observation of your mind. Letting go of the rest. And then gently bringing your awareness back to the body and slowly opening the eyes, maybe shifting and wiggling your toes and your ankles and shifting the body. And then breathing as you bring yourself back into the room. Thank you for spending this time together today. Thank you for grounding that energy in slowing the mind, nurturing the mind.